Morning, everyone. My name is Max Perakura, and I'm the host of the Rugby Site podcast. I'm joined here today with Lav and Phil to talk about the National Rugby Coach Summit on May 17th and 18th at Queen's University in Ontario, Canada. Thanks for joining me today, guys.
Pleasure to be here.
Great to be here.
Start with a little intro. Phil, do you mind introducing yourself first?
Sure. I'm Phil Connolly. I'm the CEO of the Rugby Site and have been managing Rugby Site now for over 10 years. And this idea of putting together coaching summits in North America has been in play now for six odd years since pre-COVID. And this is the first one we're doing in Canada, courtesy of our connection with Lav here at Queen's.
And Lav, what's your role in this?
I'm the head coach at the Queen's University men's rugby program. It's my first year in the role. Phil reached out to see if we could get this off the ground, and we hit the ground running, and we're hoping to make a success of it.
Awesome. So Phil, what inspired you to start this rugby camp and why Canada?
Well, what we've seen around the world, Max, is that coach development is starting to fall away, especially around the actual leadership elements of coach development, plus having an integrated program throughout these provincial and national communities. So what we wanted to do is bring international and local resources together to act as a trigger for coach development in these regions and bring the communities together, start what we call coaching culture. So we coaches come together, start sharing ideas, see presentations on the field, see presentations in the classroom, all around the various aspects of coaching, and then go away and go, geez, that was fantastic. I learned a lot, and I want to learn more, and hopefully improve their coaching performance and ultimately the players. So that's been fundamental. And then just finding the right partners around North America, whether it's the USA or Canada, who share the same values and beliefs. And Lav at Queen's is definitely fits that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Lav, how exciting is this for you at Queen's University to have the quality of coaches coming in to deliver some sessions?
I think it's massive for us in terms of exposure and some coach development for our in-house staff. But equally, it's massive for like the rugby community in Kingston and like the greater like Ontario region. We've been able to tap into the communities in the upper northeastern United States and Quebec. It's an opportunity to bring a lot of stakeholders together and just sort of like dive to the bottom of the coaching pool.
Yeah, cool. And Phil, you touched a bit on creating a coaching culture. What does that look like in the camp?
Well, firstly, is our approach is fundamentally different, Max, to other clinics and events where one we present content based on what the local community is looking for. So we're the likes of Lav and the coach development guys at Rugby Ontario and Rugby Quebec and the national coaches, what is needed for that local community at all levels to help improve the game, and then look at the coaches who are experts in those areas. And rather than this hit and run philosophy, which many coach clinics have, what we look to do is engage the coaches with the presenters and with each other during the event, and then they start sharing of ideas. So you create a safe environment where they feel comfortable to experience, that they're actually involved in these activities. It's not just look and see. They're actually involved. Then they have time to share and discuss with each other. So they become comfortable around sharing coaching knowledge, and it breaks down the barriers that they've traditionally had in their local environments. So it's just an outside influence to create an inside culture.
Yeah, that's really cool. And Lav, what would you say to a coach who's maybe tossing up at the moment, signing up to the camp?
Well, I think the return on investment is going to be pretty massive. I mean, like the truth is we have so few opportunities to connect with coach mentorship and to get genuine professional development opportunities from experts in the field that you can actually have like face-to-face contact and be able to get into like a wide variety of topics that are going to be covered here. So I think that's reason enough, and I think it's a really exciting panel, and really excited to get started.
Yeah, and Lev, Phil touched on it a bit. Have you seen another opportunity like this to get exposure to the quality of coaching that's coming to Ontario in the middle of May?
Well, like I said, it's been 20 years, and like we had Pierre Vilpro here at that time, which is pretty exciting. But for a variety of reasons, rugby in this country suffered dramatically in terms of the decline in engagement and opportunities for growth. And so this for me is like sort of like Phil intimated, it's a bit of a catalyst to sort of grow something new, something exciting, and to give people here an opportunity to reach their goals in the sport.
Yeah, yeah, that's really special. And maybe one for both of you. How do you measure success at the end of a camp like this?
Uh, and yeah, good question, Max. Success is where the coach attendees say, "That was fantastic, guys. We'd love to come back when you're hosting the next one, and we're going to share this with our fellow coaches to come next time." The coach presenters to go, "That was a fantastic experience. That was very cool. We met some great people. We had a great time. Can we come to the next one?" So that's for mine is a measure of success. And we ran one recently in San Francisco last November, and to a person and to a coach, it was exactly that. And so yeah, that's a measure of success for us.
And we've talked a little bit about the guest coaches that'll be coming on. Phil, are you able to elaborate a little bit more on who will be along on May 17 and 18?
Sure. So, as I mentioned earlier, Max, the selection of coaches was based on the feedback that we got from Lav and others as to what the need was for coaching. So we didn't just go out and get the current All Black coach or the current Wallaby coach or the England coach, etc. So our headline coach is Daryl Suisa, who is from New Zealand. He was, I think, 12, 15 years as head of coach development for New Zealand Rugby. He has been head coach for the Black Ferns, won a World Cup. He's coached Manu Samoa. He's currently coaching the Philippines Sevens. He's coached in China. I think he's had a number of consulting roles up in North America. And he also did a significant amount of work with World Rugby. He wrote the Sevens curriculum for World Rugby. So he was ideal in terms of bringing the philosophies and concepts around developing a game plan. So he's instrumental. Also headlining with him is Rusty Earnshaw from the Magic Academy in the UK. And Rusty he's a ex-England under-18 coach. He's a World Rugby educator. But first and foremost, Rusty is a coach developer. Whether it's a group of coaches or individual coaches, he works around challenging coaches to think about their coaching and gives them a different perspective. And he's worked in not just rugby, not just at premiership level and international level. He's worked in hockey, he's worked in basketball, he's worked in cricket, not just in the UK, but around the world. But he's been two seasons now down here with the Hurricanes. He was with New Zealand Rugby. So that's first and foremost. We've got Al Rogers, who's ex-All Black analyst and has evolved into a defence coach for Samoa, the Auckland Blues, Fiji and Drua, and now he's up in Wales, and not sure the role that he's looking to get there, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's very close to the Welsh coaching group. And he brings the fundamentals to the defence approach from the basics to very integrated structures. And we've also got local coaches, Jack Hanratty, Sandro Farino, Hugo Montemel, and I think I wouldn't do them credit. I think, Lav, if you probably know these guys better than me, but again, we've handpicked them for the specific roles for the event, and that was important for us. Is that it wasn't all international. We wanted to ensure that local coaches were involved and got an experience of the event, and then can take it on themselves next time. Tyler Leggett, also from Upright Rugby, is with us, and he brings extensive knowledge around the basics of the game. He does a coaching program for youth and high school in Ontario.
Yeah, how important is that to get a lens, or I guess a group of coaches, both internationally and locally, that all have a different lens on the game to sort of get together and share ideas?
Well, it was important for us because as I mentioned earlier, it's not about a hit and run program. It's about developing a program and building local knowledge. And I mean, Lav, you'd be able to talk to this better, looking at it from a lens from within, because I always look at it from an outside lens and say, look, this is what we're looking to bring. But I think from your side of it, seeing local coaches there gives a more trust, more. I recognize those people, and I know they're good, and I want to go and see them.
I think another huge part of that is having people as part of the presenting panel that are aware of what the realities of Canadian coaches are and the constraints around like how much time you have with athletes, how much access to space you have to actually coach your team, and can sort of like frame things in a way that would be helpful to that audience. Because very often, you know, the idea that you've got people that are working in a professional environment, talking to people in the grassroots, sometimes the realities don't necessarily match, and sometimes they don't see the guidance is particularly helpful in a number of ways. But because we have a chance to sort of connect the dots between all the presenters and share those insights in advance, I actually think it's going to be super beneficial to people that have a variety of realities to contend with, and I think they're going to get a lot out of it for that reason.
Yeah, that's really important, and that's again one of the core philosophies is this is the Canadian way. This is not the New Zealand way. This is not the Australian way. The program is being presented for the Canadian way. And Jack Hanratty, who's having had a couple of chats with him, is outstanding. And we got the coach presenters all together last week and had a chat about the schedule. And we all agreed that it was fundamentally core to the whole event is that it had to be the Canadian way. So for us, for example, we don't understand that you can spend 6 months in the snow and that all your rugby is trained indoors. You know, we've got sunshine, you know, 365 days of the year. So understanding those constraints, understanding that environment, and where the coaches come from as well. We're rugby coaches, you know, that's what we do. Whereas a lot of the coaches at high school are football coaches or ice hockey coaches a lot, and then have rugby as their second or third gig. So understanding that philosophy and adjusting the programs, the presentations and the sessions and the engagement accordingly is important. Otherwise, you miss it completely.
Yeah, that's awesome. It sounds like a really, really cool 2-day coach development camp, authentically delivered and curated by Canadian coaches as well, which is really important, as you say. So what does a day in the camp look like? What's the schedule going to be like?
Well, that's the key to it is on-field and off-field sessions. They'll be 40, 45 minutes, but integral to that is the opportunity for the coaches to connect and talk to each other. So it's not back-to-back sessions. It's here's a session, reflect, and also be involved in the sessions. So they're not standing on the sidelines. Whether they're prepared for it or not, they're going to be involved in it. So they're going to experience it, and they'll have a lot of fun doing it. As long as they and then they get to talk about it afterwards. So there's lunches together, there's dinner and Q&A sessions where they all get to talk directly with the coaches and amongst each other. So that approach is run over the 2 days, and so it's just not high intensity learning. It's the opportunity to learn, engage, and reflect as well.
I think it's one of the things that the Queen space actually lends itself super well to, because we do have like large kind of lecture hall spaces that we've got allocated to this with like working group tables and stuff. So when the presenters are having a chance to like kind of debrief with the group around the themes of their sessions, like what like the participants are going to have opportunity to discuss, to ask questions, to dive into those concepts and to sort of explore, not just with the presenters, but with each other. Because ultimately, like we're just trying to like unlock the knowledge that's in the room and then just sort of like add small bits to it. Rather than like, you know, the stage on the stage, it's going to be far more guide on the side, I think.
And also, Max, is extension to it, we're working with Rugby Ontario and Rugby Quebec and Rugby Canada around the ongoing program afterwards. So this is a trigger and connection. So people will create relationships. Go, I know you're so and so. I've seen you as a coach on a team list and the like. Now they put names to faces and they get comfortable with them. And then in 3 months' time, when there's a suggestion of doing another session, wherever it may be in the region, they're more comfortable in attending. And they go, geez, that was a great experience that we had when we were all together. Now we've got a smaller group and we'll still share ideas and build relationships.
Yeah, you've mentioned that a few times, Phil, that it's not a hit and run camp where you're going to come and deliver 2 days and not be seen for a few years. What does that look like over the next sort of 4 or 5 years, and how does that help Rugby Canada's growth overall?
Well, a good question. Again, for mine, it's if this camp, this summit can grow in numbers, and it can become wider rather than just regional, becomes a national, or we can have a couple of these nationally across Canada, but also the level of information that is communicated by the coach presenters and amongst the coaches increases. So we got more streams. So the notion that you'll have youth and high school coaches and you have senior coaches, and obviously men and women are all involved. And as that builds and there's more local coach presenters, and they from each event they reflect on what they did and achieved from the last one and in between. And so the following event in 12 months' time will go, geez, this is what we did then. This is what you were able to do in between. Let's have a look how we build on that for this event. And those who didn't who are just starting out of their journey can experience what everyone else had just 12 months previous. So if we're building that, then the game's got to improve.
Yeah, and
I
Lev, what
thought
are you most excited about having this quality of coaches coming in?
I think there's no substitute for expertise in a lot of ways, and I think the level of expertise that in the panel, I think might lend the impression that like it's going to be super complex stuff. But my experience is that the higher you go, the more distilled and the simpler the concepts that are going to be sort of like delivered across to you are going to get. Because the language is clear, the concepts are clear, and they've thought this through, and they're going to give you an opportunity to think it through in a space where you can challenge, you can ask questions, and you can dive into this like with both feet. The other thing that I wanted to sort of touch on is Phil threw out the term the tyranny of distance in the Canadian context, and I thought that was like a very like astute way of saying what like our biggest challenge really is, and the consistency and the predictability of having these annual coach development opportunities in a place like Kingston is massive for us, because I mean, like, you know, coach development here is a challenge in a million ways, and it's primarily resource stuff. We don't have the manpower, we don't have the opportunities to even from everywhere from like actual professional development to like the base certification process is a massive challenge here. And so when you have opportunities like this that are both like informative, educational, but also super enjoyable, I think what that does is it just sort of said before, it's a catalyst for growth in the Canadian coaching community.
And what's one thing you hope every coach that attends the camp leaves with, Lav, at the end of it?
Hunger for more. So once I mean that's definitely what like really got me sort of turned on to this is like as a when I was transitioning from a player to a coach, I was fortunate enough to have some pretty amazing coaching experiences with Mike Cron or with Pierre Viltro, like not super long, but I mean like you spend a week around somebody who's really into what they're doing and it's inspiring. And when you get inspired, it carries you through difficult times and the challenges that every coach in the country has to face. And it builds not only like resilience but confidence and resilience against all of those things that I just sort of mentioned. I think it's a pretty special opportunity, and I hope it's just the start of something big.
Yeah,
If
and that's from my perspective, Max. If we're achieving that, then that's success. Yeah, and if 2 3 years down, 3 or 4 years down the track, it can be done without the rugby site being involved, then that's success as well. I mean, we bring rugby site resources to the table. Obviously, we've got a wide range of resources around the world that we engage with. So we ensure that philosophy and mindset is brought to the table to the event, and in fact can be expanded upon with other Canadian presenters and with the community. Then that's philosophy of Smithy's sharing ideas and learn more and that's conveyed and growing in the local community. Then that's job done.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, Phil, I've just seen something pop up down below saying that the recording limit has been reached.
That's just the note taking, but the actual recording's still going.
Oh, sweet. Um, so we've covered what's the event schedule, who's going to be presenting, who's it targeted for. Um, what one for both of you? What opportunities do you think the camp will open up for coaches, both locally in their local competitions, but also in terms of a network to connect with other coaches?
I think one of the massive opportunities is like building a professional network of people that are just like-minded or like interested coaches to be able to share ideas going forward. I think a big part of that is also letting people sort of have contact with the Canadian high performance crews and stuff because I think a lot of those staff are going to be around and be able to sort of make those connections. Um, I think probably that's the biggest benefit that everyone here is going to get because most people that are working in the sport in this country kind of like they're the chief cook and bottle washer of whatever environment they're in. Like if they don't do it, it doesn't happen. And so like that can be a super lonely place. Like I've had lots of like exchanges with coaches across the country that express the exact same thing. And this is an opportunity to sort of like break out of that and just sort of like freshen up the energy a little.
And Lav, how have you seen the coaching landscape change in Canada over the last 5 years, even growth-wise?
I think I think that it's the lack of growth. It's just sort of stuck. Where we're not able to sort of like push past the glass ceiling of like what's available to us. And once again, it's not out of a will or interest challenge. It's a availability of opportunity and the tyranny of distance, like Phil said. Um, I think the the next step for us is to create these like less formal, like outside of like, for example, like Coach Canada or the NCCP or Rugby Canada. I mean that it would be great if they could sort of like carry this load on their own. But the truth is they don't have the manpower to do that. And so all of a sudden you've got this unique opportunity of expert sort of like content delivery and professional development that can come in and very affordably, very accessibly offer something that the other sporting bodies just simply can't at this point. And like Phil said, it's not a forever situation, but it's for right now. That's where we're at. So this is really like I think it's a no-brainer first step uh, to new horizons.
Yeah, so for a coach in Canada that's maybe looking to take the next step to grow both as a person and as a coach, you think this is a unique opportunity that they just need to jump at?
Yes, when you're in such a challenging environment, inspiration isn't something to be overlooked as a commodity. Like when you're around passionate, knowledgeable, and such generous people as the people that are on this ticket, I think you're gonna leave with that as like the baseline. You're gonna leave with a real like sense of what is now possible. And I think people are gonna carry that out. And if we keep it going annually, I think that just sort of feeds itself with positive vibes and good energy and like more unique opportunities. So it's really going to just move from strength to strength if we get it right the first time.
And Phil, from a rugby side perspective, how exciting is it to be able to deliver a camp like this to coaches that are obviously so passionate about what they do, but haven't had the opportunities to learn from maybe some more highly experienced international coaches before?
Oh, it's a fantastic experience, Max. Yeah, I just relate back to San Francisco. The coaches, to a coach were coming up. This Phil, this is great. So wonder why we haven't done it before. Oh, you're doing it again next year, and we haven't in the same place. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the coach presenters go, "Hey, are we all good for this time next year, guys? We all are all here because they had a great time as well." And the proof is already that the number of coaches who are looking to come are doubled in numbers already. And we're 6 months away from having that event. So for mine, that is testament going, yeah, we done something good. And the experiences, because I still get messages from coaches who are subscribers going, Phil, that was excellent, that was great. Looking forward to seeing you again. Going, yeah. That's very cool.
Is there one success story or something in particular that stands out from the San Francisco camp that you hope to replicate in Ontario?
Uh, it was the engagement on the pitch, Max. It was fantastic, and because second day, start of a second day is always quite a challenge. It can be time. So we went out on the pitch, and Rusty did one of his sessions, and the laughter, the noise, and the engagement, the fun that everyone was having, you could hear from a decent distance away from field and going, what's going on? And I arrive at the pitch, and everyone's having a whole lot of fun, engaged in the activity, learning, plus sharing. So yeah, that was very cool. And just the social media comments from the coaches, the unsolicited. So we had a social media person doing it, and watching them afterwards with their comments and reflections, was very cool.
And those on-field sessions, what's the balance of technical, tactical, mental in those sessions?
The 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 underlying approach is what is needed for the levels. So it's presented to the level of coaches that we know are attending. So you don't go in and say this is what the All Blacks or this is what the England rugby team are doing. It is what is the level needed for this particular group of coaches, and that's part of the reasons why we have these presenters, so they've experienced in that area. And they know what the expectation, the benchmarking is for those groups of coaches. So that's just fundamental to the program.
The
And,
other thing that came out of our chat the other day, though, Max, was we talked an awful lot about the lens that we're sort of focusing on the game from, whether that goes from a very, very narrow scope, which is like, ball carrier or defender plus the next two, plus the next two, plus the next two. So it's not just the systemsy stuff. There is going to be some attacking shape stuff, but there's also going to be some like organic, like sort of principles based stuff. And sort of the through line is like the skill the how parts that sort of like link all of that stuff together. And so each of the presenters sort of like has like a bit of like a share of that remit. And so there's going to be multiple touch points in like all of those themes at different times over the weekend.
Is there a presenter or a topic that you're most looking forward to having over and seeing the session, Lev?
I'm a defense first kind of human being, so the Al Rogers situation is going to be pretty exciting to me. But Rusty always blows my mind with the energy and the taking the super complex and sometimes confusing stuff and just distilling it down to the simplest core concepts and the ability to like motivate and inspire the players to just sort of chase those things. Um, I'm a strong believer that rugby, no matter what level you're playing at, if it's not fun, you're not doing it right. And I think that some of the people in this panel genuinely embody those values better than anyone I've ever seen.
I've they don't know it yet, but I've got Jack and Ratty and Rusty doing a session together. So that's going to blow everything. That's going to be controlled chaos. It's going to be a lot of fun. And Daryl, watching Daryl recently in a series that we produced with him, and what he was able to engender with the kids, the players that he had. Looking forward to seeing him with the coaches in Canada. His ability to convey game understanding is amazing to watch. And then coupled with Rusty and Jack, and yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
Oh, it'll be an awesome 2 days. Awesome group of people, great environment, great facilities at Queens as well. I'm sure it'll be the place to be.
Absolutely.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
well, thanks, guys. May 17, 18, Queen's University, Ontario, Canada. Great opportunity at the Coaches Summit with Queen's University, presented by the Rugby Site. Special guest coaches, Daryl Suasua, Al Rogers, Rusty Earnshaw, and Jack Hamready, and more as well. It'll be an awesome 2 days, so get along if you're around.
And to register, go to the rugbysitelocker.com and click on the link to the Queen's Summit and register. We've now got packages, 1 day packages and 2 day packages, plus group packages for 3 or more coaches. It'll be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thanks, Lav. Anything else before we leave you?
I think I'm okay.
Beautiful. Phil, is there anything else you wanted to cover?
No, that's all. That's all for me. Thanks, Max. Thanks, Lev.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.